Okay, our next function is we want to write a function that will compute the average for a given test. Okay, so let's uncomment this first. And then let's go take a look at what we're trying to do here. So I want to find the average for a given test. So in order to do that, I have to have access to each student, and I have to go to the same test for each one. So, if I was doing test 0, I want to get this, and this, and this, and this. And when I was working on just the score for one student, or the average score for one student, all I needed was that one array for that student. So that was a fairly simple data structure. The only way I can do this is if I pass in the entire student array, which is all of this, and then pass in as well the score number, the test number, and then I need to step through. Let's say we picked score number 3. So my outer loop takes me from student 0 to student 1 to student 2 to student 3. And then I'm going to have, for each time I go through that loop, actually it's only one loop, there is no inner loop. But every time I go through that loop, I'm going to have to get the third item and add that onto a total. Then I go to the next one, get the third item, I add onto the total. Go to the next one and add the third one on, go to the next one, add the third one on. And then when I'm done, I will have the sum of all 4 students' scores, and I just need to divide that by the number of students in order to figure out what the average score was. So let's flip back over. Now that we know what we need to do, let's flip back over here, and it's going to be test average. We're going to pass in the entire student array. So let's go down here. We'll make it a float that's going to be returned as well, and it's called test average. I'm going to pass in an array of student structs. Whoops, got to give it a name. And an integer telling us which test number it is that we want. Okay. So what do we say we have to do? We have to go and take a look at each student in the array. So I'm going to declare a variable here called student count. And it's going to be the length of the student array, and that will be the number 4 in this case. Then I'm assuming that the test number is valid, so normally you have to put some error checking in for that, but we're not going to worry about that. So I need a loop now that goes for int I equals 0, I is less than student count, I plus plus. Okay, and what I want to do is each time I go through, I want to add on to a total. So I need to declare a total. Let's call it sum like we did before. And we'll initialize it to 0. And every time we go through the loop, we want to do sum plus equals. And the current student, the name of my array is student. And the current one is going to be students of I. And I want to go to their scores, which is an array called score. And the one I want to get is the one that is at the position indicated by the variable test. Okay, and that's all I got to put in there. That will add up all the scores, and then what I want to do is I want to return the sum divided by the student count. Okay, and that should do that. So let's go ahead and run it. And again, I did not comment out that other code, so we're going to have to answer a few questions first. So we'll do student 1, test 1, average for student 1, and average for which test. Let's take that, if I do the first test, what's the average of that going to be? 375 divided by 4. So that'll give us a decimal place. So let's do test number 1. And 375 divided by 4 should give us 92.75, is that right? 92.25, okay. So that takes care of that. So that one, pretty straightforward. I mean, we declare 2 variables at the beginning, and then just a simple loop that adds up numbers. Student average was pretty much the same, just a very simple loop to add up the numbers in an array of integers. So that takes care of our test average. We've still got a few more to write, and we'll do those in separate videos.